Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Game News Roundup where I go over the latest gaming news, sales figure, and any other information about the gaming industry. If you enjoy these videos, be sure to subscribe. I do several of these every single week. Hit the like button, leave a comment down below, and today we are focusing on Sony's PlayStation shipment figures, as Sony has early this morning released its earnings report for the quarter ending March 31st, 2023. They shipped 6.3 million PlayStation 5 consoles from January to March, which is a record, not just for PlayStation, but for the video game console sales ever. It's a new record for video game console sales in that January to March quarter specifically. And this is up 4.3 million compared to the same quarter a year ago, so sales are way up. Or shipment figures, I should say, are way up year over year. And the PS5 has now shipped 38.4 million units again as of March 2023. This does also mean Sony did beat its forecast. They had upped it. It was forecast was originally 18 million at the end of the last quarter. They upped it to 19 million, and they actually ended up shipping 19.1 million PS5 consoles for the fiscal year, which ran from April 2022 to March 2023. For reference, comparing to the PlayStation 4, the last, obviously, PlayStation console, PS4 had shipped just 2.4 million consoles for the equivalent quarter, to bring its lifetime shipment figures to 40.2 million units. This does mean the PS5 is currently behind the PS4 by 1.8 million units. Mind you, that gap has shrunk quite a bit in the last quarter, and if this current quarter, the April to June quarter, doesn't have to be as good, but nearly as good, the PS5 will start worldwide tracking ahead of the PlayStation 4, shipment-wise. Other figures from Sony, there were a total of 68 million games sold on the PS5 and PS4 combined for the quarter, which is down 2.5 million from 70.5 million during the same period a year ago. Mind you, Sony did have last year was a Gran Turismo and Horizon Forbidden West launch in that same quarter a year ago, versus this year where they haven't had any major first-party releases, although obviously Hogwarts Legacy has been a huge release, and then obviously last year was also Elden Ring for other big third-party releases. And digital sales for PS5 and PS4 accounted for 70% of all software sales for the quarter. There were 9.5 million first-party games sold across the PS5 and PS4, which is down 5 million from 14.5 million first-party games sold a year ago. Again, last year, we're talking about Horizon Forbidden West and Gran Turismo 7 launching compared to not much in the way of first-party releases this quarter, which is the main reason why first-party sales are down. Number of PlayStation Plus subscribers is at 47.4 million, which is the exact same as a year ago. And there are also 108 million monthly active users, an increase of 2 million from 106 million a year ago. So Sony's Game and Network Services segment, which includes PlayStation, reported revenue increased 407 billion yen, or $3 billion, year over year, to 1.07 trillion yen, or just a hair under $8 billion US dollars. While operating income did decrease 48 billion yen, or $360 million, to 38.86 billion yen, or 290 million US dollars. So revenue is up, profits are down a bit, but anyways. So yeah, Sony's forecast for the Game and Network Service segment for the fiscal year, which we're currently now in, which ends March 31st, 2024, are expected to increase year on year to an increase in sales of hardware and peripheral devices. Hardware, obviously, now PlayStation 5 sales way up year over year in the last quarter, and they expect it to continue through this current fiscal year. And peripheral devices, you could say, includes PlayStation VR 2, which did launch on February 22nd. Sony did not reveal any sales numbers or anything about PlayStation VR 2 in its earnings report that I could see. So yeah, and also this increase will be partially offset by foreign exchange rates. And Sony did forecast it will ship 25 million PlayStation 5 consoles during the fiscal year, which ends March 31st, 2024. This would be a new record for PlayStation consoles, for the most PlayStation consoles shipped in a single fiscal year. If Sony is able to hit its forecast, it would bring PS5 shipment figures up to 63.4 million units at the end of March 2024, which would also be 3.2 million above the 60.2 million PS4 shipped after the same amount of time. So if Sony hits its forecast, they could miss their forecast by 3.1 million units. And by the end of March of next year, PS5 shipment figures will be tracking above the PS4 if they're able to hit their target. And Sony, in their report, sales are expected to increase year-on-year, mainly due to an expected increase in sales of hardware and peripheral devices, partially offset primarily by the impact of foreign exchange rates. Operating income and adjusted OIBDA are expected to increase year-on-year, mainly due to an expected improvement in hardware profitability and the positive impact of foreign exchange rates, reflecting the high ratio of U.S. dollar-denominated cost. In addition to the impact of the above-mentioned expected increase in sales of peripheral devices, these increases are expected to be partially offset by an expected increase in costs and the impact of an expected decrease in sales of first-party titles. Confirmed, obviously, Marvel Spider-Man 2 will be their big holiday release last year, even though Horizon Forbidden West and Gran Turismo were released in the previous fiscal year. It was towards the end of it, so those sales did help boost first-party sales for the last fiscal year. But yeah, that's going to do it for this quick Game News Roundup going over PlayStation's earnings report, Sony's earnings report for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2023, setting records. Have you been able to get a PlayStation 5 if you've been looking? Have you been able to see a lot of stock available? I mean, from what I've seen online, at least here in New York, I've seen plenty of PlayStation 5 stock available and store shelves around here. So yeah, again, if you enjoy this, hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. And also I should mention one quick thing. Our estimates at VGChartz are at 35.94 million units, but I should add, at the end of December, Sony did confirm 30 million PS5 sold versus 32.1 million PS5 shipped, for a gap of 2.1 million at the end of December between shipped and sold, and now Sony is shipping even more PS5 consoles than ever before, now that they're able to get rid of the shortages and start meeting demand, and now obviously we're seeing more PS5 consoles available on store shelves than before, so we currently have a gap of it was like 2.46 million, I believe is what it is at, between shipped and sold at the end of March. Also, and if Sony does meet its 25 million forecast, that does mean a bit over 6 million PS5 shipped per quarter. However, I do expect probably a bit less during the non-holiday quarters and a bit more during the holiday quarter, which generally they ship more consoles during the holidays because that's when their biggest sales are during the year. So I'd expect maybe, say 5.5 million shipped for the non-holiday quarters and maybe like 7 or 8 million for the holiday quarter. But we'll see how things go and what their plans are going forward. And with our sell-through figures, I should add, we're at 35.94 million units, making the 16th best-selling video game platform of all time, ahead of the Genesis, but behind the SNES. And what did I mention here? If Sony hits its shipment figure of 63.4 million units, you would figure sell-through would be like around 61 million sell-through, more than likely, is what it would be at. With that being the case, would mean it would be just behind the NES at the end of March next year, and then by April next year, we'll probably have it definitely above the NES, and then moving up the charts for the best selling video game platforms of all time. So anyways, hope you enjoy this. Hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time for some more Game News Roundup.